Hey guys, welcome to my newest OPETH video. Today I'm going to be discussing my favorite OPETH tracks of all time. These are the songs that I could not live without. They're hand-picked, hand-selected. I've given a lot of thought to them. Here we go. First up on the list is The Lotus Eater off of Watershed. This one starts out with a very interesting vocal melody that Michael actually hums a little bit, and it leads into a very aggressive blast beady type section. You also have a lot of different sections within the song, feel changes, time changes, very memorable. A lot of melodic vocals in The Lotus Eater. At about the 3.5 minute mark, you have a absolutely tasty guitar lead that comes over the top. It's just phenomenal guitar tones. After the guitar solo, the bass and guitar kind of whittle down to a complete stop, and then we're left with a new melody that comes in, and things will slowly build up. Overall, The Lotus Eater is over 8 minutes of pure progressive death metal goodness. The next song on the list is called Heir Apparent, also off of Watershed. This one opens with a big wall of sound. The drums are very steady, and the chord that's rung out on that guitar is like a stacked tritone. So it's very dissonant, very heavy, dark, confusing sounding, but it comes at you hard and quick. In addition to this song being over 8 minutes long and having varied sections and feels throughout, there are also killer guitar solos and really funky, groovy drum patterns. Toward the middle of the song, we're left with everything dropping out, and there's just this little acoustic guitar little ditty that they came up with some hammer-ons and pull-offs, and it really sets the stage for the song to kind of reinvent itself, and it blows up with the heaviness right after that section. It's very folky and very smooth sounding, absolutely phenomenal. With only about 1.5 minutes remaining in the song, everything kind of breaks, and they come in with their final theme, and I don't know how to describe. It's a wall of sound, but it's very upbeat, it's very rejoiceful, and the song is absolutely one of their best, not to be looked over. So, Heir Apparent. Next on the list is the song Hope Leaves off of Damnation, and this song is very low-key, it's soft, it's almost got an acoustic unplugged vibe, though it's not unplugged, but it is very low-key. His voice is very low in terms of how he's singing. It's very soft-spoken. My favorite part of this song, other than the intertwining melodies throughout, would have to be the bass part, because the bass really shines in this one. It really kind of carries its own melody. Probably about a third of the way through the song to halfway through the song, you'll notice the bass is really prominent and very tasty. So, Hope Leaves. Coming in at over 10 minutes in length is the song The Baying of the Hounds off of Ghost Reveries. This song has one of the most guttural introductions. It's just one, I believe they're doing a drop D power chord, and it just opens up with the power chord. It is so full. The production sounds so great. It's so satisfying to hear that. And then it whips in with the drums, and with all the songs on this album, they're very multi-sectioned. You have the really guttural parts with the more softer parts, and the breakdowns, and the solos, a soaring solo on this one as well. So absolutely phenomenal. I really love the tone and the production. The Baying of the Hounds. Next on the list is the song Benighted, which is off of Still Life from 1999. And this one epitomizes OPETH on a folk guitar level. Very crisp and clean acoustic style guitar number with a fully melodic vocals, kind of soft spoken like the Hope Leaves song. Very, very low. He doesn't really express his vocals out much. It's very soft spoken and low, and there is one amazing guitar solo in this as well, but it just perfectly epitomizes OPETH in terms of their folky inspirations. Benighted is also very atmospheric. You really feel like you're in like a dark, cold room when you're listening to it. So Benighted is absolutely one track you cannot live without. Coming in at over 11 minutes off of Ghost Reveries, we have The Grand Conjuration. This one, like everything on Ghost Reveries, is just chock full of all that OPETH does. The big, the small, the loud, the soft, the heavy, the more soft-spoken. This one starts out with a very specific drum and guitar rhythm. There's a lot of tritones in this song. I believe they're dipping in on the Phrygian dominant mode for a lot of this as well, but it is just a myriad of OPETHian goodness. You cannot live without The Grand Conjuration. Up next on the list of unbelievably unforgettable and to not be lived without OPETH songs is the song Burden off of Watershed. And this one might be not only one of their best songs, period, top 3, but it might be one of the best songs ever written. It is the epitome of a well-written song. It starts off with this piano line that is arpeggiated, and there's some dissonance in some of the notes that they play. It is absolutely haunting how amazing that intro is. After the intro, we're led into the verse with some string movements, and then the full band comes in. We got a drum beat. We got everybody playing. It's very chill and relaxed. It's very beautiful. It's very polished. Mikkel's vocals are very smooth and soft and satisfying. After a few rounds of verse-chorus, we're led to this very distinct, almost Deep Purple-inspired organ solo that really satisfies amongst the atmosphere of the song. Michael's vocal melodies are soaring and over the top, very, very beautifully satisfying vocals on this track. After some more melodic sections, we're led into the guitar solo. And the guitar is very, very specific in its production here. It sounds like it's low on the tone knob. It's very neck pickup. I'm sure there's some effects on there. I do hear some delay. It's very tasty, very warm, almost pseudo jazzy in a way. And at over 7 minutes long, this track kind of goes out with a melodic, acoustic, folky style guitar part, which leads into Mikkel actually doing something. He laughs at the end of the song, and then they put it on a delay and they loop it and they bring it up. They bring it up or bring it down in pitch. Just a clever studio trick, but one hell of a way to end one of their best songs. So Burden, absolutely amazing. Coming up next at over 10 minutes long is The Drapery Falls off of Blackwater Park, and this one is also, none of these songs are in any particular order, but this one would definitely be top 5 for me of all time for this. It starts off with a little acoustic guitar kind of strum pattern, and then there's some very wispy and melodic kind of echoey, maybe there's some delay vocal line that kind of harbors the theme of the song a little bit, and that brings us into the full band. This song has one of the best vocal chorus parts, I guess you could call it. The ha, that is just such an infectious. Even my wife was singing that many years ago. She doesn't even like metal, but she heard the song, and even fans, even people that aren't fans could listen to that and be like, that's such an amazing, catchy thing to sing. So The Drapery Falls is absolutely phenomenal. And of course, at the end of the song, the guitar kind of reiterates that vocal melody as an outro. So the Drapery Falls is absolutely one of their best. Coming up next at over 11 minutes off of Ghost Reveries, great record, is Reverie / Harlequin Forest. And this one starts off with a vocal line with a little bit of like, it sounds like a drop D guitar chord strum or chug. And then there's this bass slide down to the low D, and then it all comes in with the drums. It is just one of the many aspects of the song I absolutely love. The other thing I find interesting about the song is that when they come in right at the beginning, once the vocals come in, it almost sounded to me like the song had already started in a different universe or something. Like we were coming into the song, but the song had already started, but we didn't get to hear like what led up to it. It's got that very like abrupt, in your face, like when somebody calls you and they're already halfway through their conversation before you even answer the phone, right? That kind of situation. So very unique way to arrange and write. I also like the contrast of the vocals on this song. Most of them seem to be melodic for this one. Very clean and very big and soaring with the production. And then, of course, you have those moments where the color kind of changes and gets a little bit more dark, and he brings in those guttural death growls. Right? All in all, Harlequin Forest is one of my favorite Opeth songs, and with everything on Ghost Reveries, chock full of all the different styles and shades of Opeth. Next here is the 9+ minute Bleak off of Blackwater Park. This is actually one of the first songs I ever came across, and I heard it on one of their live offerings on a DVD or whatever. And to this day, it's one of my favorite Opeth tracks. Again, it's long, it's got a lot of sections. This was the first album where, you have Blackwater Park, Ghost Reveries, and Watershed. They all kind of have the same vibe to them. They're all big and grand. The production's great. They're heavy. They're multi-sectioned. And this song is no different. I believe they're using a lot of Phrygian dominant in this song, if my memory serves me well. I know I did or will have a video going up about this song where I take apart the sections. I believe Phrygian dominant is the scale used. Overall, Bleak just really has it all, right? It's got the hard, it's got the heavy, it's got the soft, it's got the quiet, it's got the guitar solo. That's so tasty. It's just a great representation of the band. It's an epic. It's an epic. Next on the list from 1999, we have Face of Melinda off Still Life. This one is kind of similar to Benighted off of Still Life in that it's very folky sounding, a lot of acoustic guitar, and the vocal part for the majority of it is also very kind of soft spoken and very unique guitar part, almost jazzy. There's a lot of like finger style and like dyads, for lack of a better word, that are used, and it's a very busy guitar part on acoustic with the finger style, but it's very tasty. It's very well thought out, and the Face of Melinda has that very like despondent vibe. You have to look at the album cover as you're listening to the song to get the full experience, to get the audio visual, because I feel like that is probably Melinda on the cover. So for what it's worth, Face of Melinda, also one of the greatest Opeth tracks ever. Next on the list from Watershed is the song Coil, which I believe opens the album. It's about 3 minutes long. It's mostly acoustic from what I remember. It starts off with the acoustic guitar using notes. This song kind of perfectly illustrates the type of note choices that Opeth will use to make their sound what it is. And I think I did a heavy metal music theory video on this about a year ago. It probably needs to be updated at this point because my production and my... I sucked a year ago, right? I'm starting to really get myself going here. But anyway, that those notes, those arpeggiations and everything, a lot of dissonance involved, and it grabs you instantly. I love that aspect of Opeth. You also have the vocals that intertwine with that acoustic opening, and very soft-spoken, but very like open sounding, very soaring, and very emotional. It really, this song can conjure up some feels. At about 2 minutes, we get a female vocalist joining in the song, and she kind of repeats what Mikkel says in the chorus, and it just gives it a nice kind of counterpart type of situation. It's a very emotional song. It's a very human song. Coil. It's amazing. Next on the list, off of Sorceress, is the song Era, which is about 6 minutes in length from 2016. It starts off with this very quiet piano part, two-handed. It almost has like classical piano vibes to it in a way, though the sound they're using is kind of a little more on the jazzy progressive side, but it's a very satisfying part. That leads into some hits, and eventually the full band will come in. This one is very driving, you know, it's got a lot of energy to it, and then the vocal part is very melodic. It's very, a lot of long notes coming out of Mikkel. Very, very satisfying to listen to the song and to sing along on your own. It's just a very satisfying experience. The only downside to this song and this album is the production. I don't know what it is about it. It just sounds muffled to me. But the songwriting is pretty damn good, and the guitar solo toward the end of the song is no different. It's absolutely phenomenal. Soaring with the vibe and theme of the song. It's Era. It's great. Next on the list, also from the aforementioned Sorceress album, is The Wildflowers. And this song, despite its terrible production, this song actually might be like the only song where the production actually works in its benefit. When I see the title The Wildflowers and I listen to the intro, I kind of picture like wildflowers. Like the song, the sonic quality of the song actually makes my brain conjure up a wildflower scene of like pastures of wildflowers and people dancing around. It's kind of, I don't want to use the word silly, but it's very like, it's happy and it's playful, right? It's playful, it's whimsical, and the drum beat is very cool, and the vocal cadence is very cool. The guitar solo in the first chunk of the song has a very like Phrygian dominant kind of vibe to it. All in all, The Wildflowers just has a very unique sound for Opeth. Very satisfying. The final entry into my favorite unbelievable Opeth songs of all time, the songs I cannot live without, would be the song Moon Above, Sun Below off of Pale Communion. And I believe this came out in 2014. This one is, again, over 10 minutes long. These guys write epics. And this one, you know, the production is kind of, it's definitely better than Sorceress, but it still has a specific vibe to it. Like, very mystical song, you know, Moon Above, Sun Below. It's got a very human but yet spiritual kind of vibe to it. There's some organ in there in the beginning, in the first verse. That sounds great. So Moon Above, Sun Below has a very infectious melody that runs throughout. At about, I'd say, 2 minutes or so, you will notice this melody come in. It's a very warm, jazzy sounding guitar, and that theme will return throughout the song. Very, very infectious melody. So toward the middle of the song, Mikkel does what sounds like some double tracking on his vocals, where he's got some harmonies that he's creating with himself, which gives it a very like 70s vibe to it. So very tasty stuff. Very organic feeling. This is a very earthy song. All right. So guys, that is it for this one. I believe there were 15 tracks in total. My favorite Opeth songs of all time. Leave your favorite in the comments below. And if you're still here, for the love of God, let me know in the comments that you're still here. I love you. I thank you. We'll see you next time.